This week, we come together in hope and mourning to reclaim the gift of Holy Community. We honor once again the open mind, the giving heart, the guidance of truth, and the wisdom of love. Come and be together in this hour of deepening spirit.
Good morning. Welcome to the Unitarian Congregation of Westchester and our online worship service. My name is Cheryl Pittenger, and I'm a lay leader in the congregation. We especially want to welcome any visitors to our online service this morning. We hope we will have a chance to get to know you. You can say hello in the comments. You can go to ucwc.org to learn more about us, or you can send us an email if you'd like more information at welcome@ucwc.org or would like to be in touch directly. We hope you will join us for our online social hour. The link and the password are in Connections. We'll put them in the comments for this service and on screen at the end of the service. Unitarian Universalism holds that great good comes from wide diversity. So whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever your heritage, and from wherever your beliefs spring, we are pleased that you are here. Let us walk a while together. I'd like to call your attention to announcements in Connections and online. And one particular announcement, and that today during the Zoom hour, there'll be a special UU Q&A. This is an opportunity if you want to learn more about us. If you're new to UU or new to our congregation, you can bring questions and learn more. You can join the social hour Zoom and then let us know that you'd like to go into the Q&A, and we'd love to have to see you there. Our chalice lighting today is by Reverend Jennifer Grayson. We come together every week, bound not by a creed or a mutual desire to please one God or many gods. Yet we are drawn together by a belief that how we are in the world, who we are together, matters. We light this chalice together in the knowledge that love, not fear, can change this world.
Well, I invite you to join in our opening hymn, words by Shelley Jackson Denham. We laugh, we cry, we live, we die.
We laugh, we cry, we live, we die, we dance, we sing our song. We need to feel there's something here to which we can belong. We need to feel the freedom just to have some time alone. But most of all, we need close friends we can call our very own. And we believe in life and in the strength of love. And we have found a need to be together. We have our hearts to give, we have our thoughts to receive, and we believe that sharing is an answer. We see time's endless journey as we watch the baby grow. We thrill to hear imagination freely running wild. We dedicate our minds and hearts to the spirit of this child, and we believe in life and in the strength of love, and we have found a time to be together. And with the grace of age, we share the wonder of youth, and we believe that growing is an answer. Our lives are full of wonder, and our time is very brief. The death of one among us fills us all with pain and grief. But as we live, so shall we die, and when our lives are done, the memories we shared with friends, they will linger on and on. And we believe in life and in the strength of love, and we have found a place to be together. We have the right to grow. We have the gift to believe that peace within our living is an answer. We seek elusive answers to the question of this life. We seek to put an end to all the waste of human strife. We search for truth, equality, and blessed peace of mind. And then we come together here to make sense of what we find. And we believe in life and in the strength of love. And we have found our joy being together. And in our search for peace, maybe we'll finally see, even to question truly is an answer.
I invite you to join me in the words of our unison affirmation. We gather, aspiring to be a thriving, caring, and welcoming community that supports each person's spiritual journey, embraces diversity, challenges us to live responsibly, and is a catalyst for a just and compassionate world. Before I introduce Cassie for our Time for All Ages, I wanted to mention something that our religious education kids and adults have been organizing. Now, this year, it, many of you are aware that normally we participate in Westchester's Martin Luther King Day of Service. Obviously, there's a pandemic going on. We're not going to have 1,000 people crowding in to a church in order to organize everybody and send them out. It's just not something we can do safely. However, there are some things we can do, and our religious education team has put together a drive for the Baby Food Fund, which is a wonderful fund created by one of our own youth. And so, what we're doing is we're having a collection at the congregation from 1 to 3 next Sunday, that's January 17th. Or if you want, you can order food from the link that's in Connections, so you can go look that up for the details. If you need more information, just write to re@ucwc.org. But this is one way that we can continue to be of service, particularly in this time when food insecurity is such an issue. And yes, food insecurity includes babies. So we're very glad to be participating in that. And with that said, I would like to introduce Cassie Langle for our Time for All Ages.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome. Now is the time in our service when we invite our children and youth to join those who have gathered here together as we listen to a very special Time for All Ages message. As always, let's begin with a nice deep breath in. So, when I was a little girl, I grew up in a Catholic school because it had the better teachers in the district I was in, and my parents wanted me to learn about religion and the Bible. Now, my family wasn't Catholic. We attended our local Lutheran church with my dad's family. It was the church where we had gone for a few generations, and we had some deep connections there. It was where I was growing up, so I felt safe to explore and run around the fellowship hall and talk to people. It was a place where I saw my grandparents, and we'd go out for coffee and snacks afterwards. I loved my church, and I was growing up in the in-betweenness where I knew I wasn't in the same religion as my friends at school, and I wanted to be different and special and keep my Lutheran identity precious. I loved being Lutheran so much in that little Catholic school that one day my teacher was asking me some questions about what I believed, and finally she said something like, "Well, you're still Christian, aren't you?" And I heard with my little ears that hard C sound and assumed she was talking about whatever my friends were at school. And I said, "Oh no, I'm not Christian. I'm Lutheran." I held on to that little identity about what I believed and used it as a shield to protect me from those who were different. I now know, of course, that they were Catholic and we are all Christian. So my friends and I, the differences we had were relatively small, but isn't it interesting how we form who we are and what we think? We each have our own stories about how we came to believe what we do, but I was so young in this instance, I barely knew what God was, and I sure didn't have beliefs, especially not knowing the fine details that separate Christian denominations. But what I identified so strongly with was how we believe. I'd be willing to bet some of you may have had similar early experiences in your earliest memories of what is being in a religious community like. Memories of making crafts and singing songs and seeing your family, waiting for coffee and snacks, hearing the same messages and words and songs week after week, and any other rituals your families may have begun to go along with those religious services. These memories were probably pretty more ingrained in your young minds than what was actually being said. What mattered to you and to me was how we believed. For all those children and youth among us who are thinking, well, this sounds a lot like me right now, that is perfect. If you grow up to remember this congregation as a place that is safe and kind and welcoming and stands up for what is right by sharing and loving and working in the community, then I think we've succeeded. Unitarian Universalism has its own unique theology based on our principles and sources, part of which says you have a right to your own search for truth and meaning. It matters what we believe, but as Unitarian Universalists, it matters at least as much, if not more, how we believe together. UUism is a faith of action that not only believes, but acts for dignity, justice, compassion, acceptance, encouragement, democracy, peace, and respect. That is why we do social justice projects and invite guest speakers from the community and share our wisdom with lay-led services, stand with those who need us, share our plate with community organizations, and so much more. We are a faith that acts together on what we believe in a beloved community. We are a faith of love, and when you love someone or something, you show it. So let's show others how we believe together.
Well, a few people mentioned that the volume was a little soft, so I hope the volume is louder now. But volume costs money. Actually, it doesn't. But many other things do cost money. And our congregation depends on the donations that we receive from our members and friends. It is very easy to give. We hope that you will give either on the web or by PayPal. If you have the PayPal app on your phone, you just hold the phone up to the little weird looking code that's going to be on the screen in a minute. It'll take you right there. I hope that you'll use these services if you're able, or that you will consider sending a check, or that you will add something to what you pay for a pledge every month so that we can continue to thrive even during this period when we can't all be together in the same place to pass baskets. So thank you. Thank you for all you do, and thank you for your generosity to this community and to others. We'll now receive the morning offering. for these gifts and for everything that we give in so many ways to all of our communities. We are truly grateful, and we are truly grateful for that lovely offertory, Jason. Thank you so much. Our reading today is from the Unitarian Universalist religious educator Sophia Lyon-Fahs. It may be familiar to some of us. Somehow this reading, which I selected some time ago, seems even more relevant and poignant following the events of last week. It's called It Matters What We Believe. Some beliefs are like walled gardens. They encourage exclusiveness and the feeling of being especially privileged. Other beliefs are expansive and lead the way into wider and deeper sympathies. Some beliefs are like shadows, clouding children's days with fears of unknown calamities. Other beliefs are like sunshine, blessing children with the warmth of happiness. Some beliefs are divisive, separating the saved from the unsaved, friends from enemies. Other beliefs are bonds in a world community, where sincere differences beautify the pattern. Some beliefs are like blinders, shutting off the power to choose one's own direction. Other beliefs are like gateways, opening wide vistas for exploration. Some beliefs weaken a person's selfhood. They blight the growth of resourcefulness. Other beliefs nurture self-confidence and enrich the feeling of personal worth. Some beliefs are rigid, like the body of death, impotent in a changing world. Other beliefs are pliable, like the young sapling, ever growing with the upward thrust of life. It matters what we believe. I invite you to sing together, Spirit of Life.
Spirit of life, come unto me. Sing in my heart all the stirrings of compassion. Blow in the wind, rise in the sea. Move in the hand, giving life the shape of justice. Roots hold me close, wings set me free. Spirit of life, come to me, come to me.
It matters what we believe. As much as any others, these are the words of my religious upbringing. I used to hear them at least once a year at one time or another. The writing of the great religious educator Sophia Lyon-Fahs, that the Unitarian Universalist who gave us curricula based not on dogma but on inquiry and science and exploration. Some beliefs are like walled gardens, other beliefs are expansive. Some beliefs are like shadows, other beliefs are like sunshine. It matters what we believe. The church I grew up in happens to be the one that ordained Sophia Lyon-Fahs. She was 80 years old and preached her own ordination sermon. So her words were especially important to us. But for a long time, I think I misunderstood them. It's easy to do that if you take that phrase, it matters what we believe, and use it to separate the good religions from the bad religions, or the good people from the bad people. Some beliefs are like shadows, others like sunshine. Some beliefs are divisive, others bonds in a world community. And that's too black and white, too cut and dry. And I don't think that's what she was actually saying. Was she really suggesting that some beliefs were all the way bad and others all the way good? It's almost triumphalist, and that isn't the Unitarian Universalism that I was taught. The religion I grew up in was and is more complicated than that. We, the young people growing up with the legacy of Sophia Lyon-Faz's work, learned that there was some measure of truth in every religion because every religion speaks to somebody's human experience. In her words, the differences beautify the pattern. We were taught to be receptive to ideas that were different from our own, even very different. We were taught to celebrate diversity. Of course, we weren't always very good at it. Sometimes the Unitarian Universalist youth in my congregation and across the country took on an insufferable smugness, especially when it came to comparing ourselves with conservatives or with fundamentalists. I was part of a group that took a picture of Pat Robertson and put it up on a dartboard at a youth conference. It was not our proudest moment. But in our haste to separate the good from the bad, the right beliefs from the wrong ones, I think we were the ones being divisive, separating the saved from the unsaved, friends from enemies. We were the ones in walled gardens, enjoying our exclusive privilege. What I've learned through the years is that as much as it matters what we believe, what matters a great deal more is how we believe. And religious liberals have no monopoly on life-affirming beliefs, just as we have no immunity from life-denying ones. Often the beliefs themselves are exactly the same. It's how we hold, express, and open ourselves to them that makes the difference. I remember attending my first People's Music Network conference in 1987 in Washington, D.C. I was in 10th grade, and I'd grown up about 1 year's worth from the dartboard incident. On my first day of that conference, I got into a conversation with an activist. Everyone at the People's Music Network is an activist, about what it means to be a liberal. He and I agreed on just about every social issue, but we had very different approaches to the conversation. To me, I said, liberalism means that we don't just take positions and hold them. We listen to other people and we take what they say very seriously. I might disagree, I said, with what Ronald Reagan says about aid to the Contras, but I'm going to listen to what he says before I judge it. My newfound friend looked at me with incredulity, and when I later tried to contribute something more to a conversation, he cut me off with a curt, "I don't know, I've heard your definition of liberal." Some beliefs are divisive. Other beliefs are bonds. The difference is not what those beliefs are, but how we hold them. And incidentally, through the distance of years, what a rotten thing to say to a 15-year-old kid. My approach to the conversation was exactly what I had been taught in my Unitarian Universalist upbringing. Listen to those with whom we disagree and respect their humanity. We don't have to agree with them or accept what is not acceptable, but we do need to understand what we are criticizing. I've grown and changed a great deal over the years, and my beliefs today are not all what they were so long ago, but that basic principle of respect has stayed with me. It isn't an easy way to believe anything. There are some things that I think are true and some things that I think are false, and respecting the person who believes differently doesn't do anything to change that truth or that falsehood. But at the same time, some of the greatest human beings I have known and admired held religious beliefs that were completely different from my own. I think of Dorothy Day, a Roman Catholic whose strict beliefs led her to dedicate her life to the poor, the underclass, the abandoned ones, and to labor for justice and human dignity. How can you not respect a belief when it is lived in such a way? I think of the poet Rumi, a Muslim whose ideas of the divine, while lyrically beautiful, are very different from the ones I hold, and yet whose writing continues to inspire me to deeper insight and more profound living. And I think of my old friend Ray. Ray was a chaplain I served with a decade ago, 2 decades ago. How long was it? A long time ago, at the University of Virginia Hospital in Charlottesville. Our little group of chaplain residents came from many traditions: Baptist, Congregationalist, Hindu, Unitarian Universalist, and one Missouri Synod Lutheran, Ray. Now, Missouri Synod Lutherans are generally considered fundamentalists. They're not like the Evangelical Lutheran Church of America, which is most of the Lutherans in our neighborhood. Missouri Synod Lutherans are among the most conservative Christians you will ever find. Ray and I disagreed on almost every theological issue you could think of, and to this day, if I were hospitalized and could choose one chaplain to visit me, it would be Ray. His beliefs may have been completely different from mine, but they led him to a life of compassion and service and openness to others. It didn't matter if a patient was Christian or Jewish or pagan or atheist or Confucian. What mattered to Ray was the human being who was suffering, and he never once imposed his beliefs on anyone else. He may have thought that I was on my way to hell. I don't know. We generally tried to avoid that subject. But he treated me with respect, and he gave me his real and honest friendship. One day in the chaplain's workroom, Ray picked up my copy of A Chosen Faith, which is an excellent introduction to Unitarian Universalism. And reading Robert Fulghum's introduction, he came upon the following bit of dialogue. "It sounds more like NPR or PBS to me than a church." Actually, the analogy is not far off. Public radio and public television are good examples of things that Unitarian Universalists support. We want to be exposed to a wide range of information and a broad range of viewpoints. We want each individual to have an influence on programming, and we want each individual to take responsibility for keeping programs on the air. It's not the easiest way to go about radio or religious community, but it's the way we choose. So if I'm open-minded and listen to NPR and watch PBS, I qualify as a Unitarian Universalist? Let's say you have Unitarian Universalist tendencies. Ray snapped the book shut and looked up at his colleagues. "Uh-oh," he said. "I have Unitarian Universalist tendencies." And by the same token, I have known people that I agreed with on every theological point, but who used their beliefs as weapons, ridiculing and belittling those who held different views. And I've had to wonder whose beliefs were like blinders. In our congregation, we have members who are atheists, and we have members who are Christians. We have members who are humanists, and members who are theists. We have Buddhists and Sufis, and we have spiritualists. We have members who look ahead to Easter, and members who next month will be celebrating the pagan holiday of Imbolc. We believe very different things. And yet, even when we're not all in the same place, we make it a point to come together, to talk together, to worship together, sing together, work for justice together, and give one another our care and our compassion. For all of the different beliefs that we hold, we are still Unitarian Universalists, and we hold common threads in our approach to those beliefs. We're committed to freedom and responsibility in religion, to spiritual growth, inquiry, integrity, and community. We're firm in our openness and passionate in the conversation. I think that's one reason why small group ministries, with their emphasis on creating supportive community and talking about our different lives and our different beliefs, have become so important in our congregation. I think it's one reason why new programs like Explorations, which provides an opportunity to talk with each other about the religion we share from our own experience, whether we're new here or longtime members, are important. I think it's one reason Unitarian Universalism is such a vibrant and wondrous religion. But there's more to how we believe than our openness to difference. There are questions that we need to ask ourselves. Have my beliefs left me open to new truths, or are they unchanging, leaving me closed off to new ways of thinking? When John Bjornson Forrester Church wrote that book and called ours a chosen faith, it wasn't only because most of us came to Unitarian Universalism from other religions. It was also because, as Unitarian Universalists, we choose our beliefs again and again, based not on whim or convenience, but on the truth of our minds and hearts. Our beliefs may change a great deal over the years, or they may not change at all, but we question them, we examine them, we choose them once again. It's been said that for us, revelation is not sealed. There's always room for new truth. Are my beliefs based solely on somebody else's authority, or do they have some root in my experience? It's easy to choose a teacher and follow blindly, or to bend with whatever trend is the latest to fly off the spirituality section of the local bookstore, but this is not the Unitarian Universalist way. A belief that is at odds with experience is the opposite of life affirming. And that doesn't mean that we never believe in things we can't see or touch, and it's especially important to take into account the experiences of other people. But it does mean that we pay attention to the insights of our senses, our minds, and our bodies. Are my beliefs healing? At no time is religion more important than in a time of loss. There's been a lot of loss in this past year. In my grieving, I find myself looking inward in search of peacefulness, even through all the sadness. And no belief can take the sadness away or lessen that loss. But our beliefs can bring comfort, and they can bring hope. And they can help hold us through. Do my beliefs have the power to transform me? There are many beliefs that feel good, but if beliefs are never transforming, then I question the sincerity with which they are held. If they merely affirm my biases, maybe they're not as strong as I think, no matter how loudly I may repeat them. Sometimes we need to be lifted by our ideals, or we stop growing. And sometimes when we're in that dark and difficult place, we turn to what we believe and find ourselves shaken to the soul. That's what a belief can do. I'm sure we could think of 100 or 1,000 more questions to ask ourselves, and we may find that we're not always comfortable with our own answers. That's good. That's part of an open and dynamic, challenging and changing religion. But there is another question that I find of deeper and deeper significance, and that's this. Are my beliefs for myself alone, or do they lead me to labor for a better world? Most of us believe that we have a moral obligation to care for the sick. I don't know anyone who believes otherwise. But do we take that belief and organize and advocate for a healthcare system that meets that basic obligation? Many people talk about the evils of racism or homophobia or transphobia, but are we willing to address those wrongs if it means sacrificing personal comfort? If we are white or heterosexual or cisgender, do we take seriously the lived experiences of black, brown, lesbian, bisexual, gay, or transgender people? If we are male, do we take seriously the experiences of women? We can't do everything. Not every belief we hold will be lived in a way that changes the world. But we can pay attention to our beliefs. We can take them seriously enough to be challenged by them and to live them. And if someone with less privilege than I have tells me that something I have done or said is hurtful to them, then I also take my beliefs seriously enough to consider changing them. Maybe they're being extra sensitive, or maybe we're having a misunderstanding, or maybe something needs to shift within me. But I will take that kind of feedback seriously because it matters. If what we believe truly matters to us, then we bear the responsibility of listening to the world listening to the world and to others and to our deepest selves. It matters how we believe, because how we believe determines whether we grow stagnant or grow in spirit. How we believe will guide us to live for ourselves or to live for all humanity and all of life. How we believe will shape the world we create. This week, in my hometown of Washington, D.C., armed insurrectionists stormed the United States Capitol. They were egged on by people in power. It is the job of a politician to create laws and policies for the good of the people. It is the job of a politician to advocate. We may or may not agree about what those laws and policies should be. We may have vehement disagreements about that because people in our government believe different things, and that's how it's supposed to work. But how we believe things matters. And those who tolerate, encourage, or enable lies for the sake of acquiring or remaining in power undermine their beliefs and forsake their integrity. And as we have seen, they undermine our democracy and they undermine our society. Unitarian Universalism teaches differently. Unitarian Universalism teaches that how we believe matters as much as what we believe. Unitarian Universalism teaches that differences should be celebrated and explored with integrity, honesty, and holy curiosity. Unitarian Universalism teaches listening and letting go of pride and privilege when it needs to go. This is what we seek to do in our congregation. This is who we are as Unitarian Universalists. We listen and care and grow. We act to make the world better. We seek and respect truth and do not confuse fact with opinion. We honor to the best of our abilities beauty in diversity and the transforming power of love. These things are part of us not because of our theologies, but because of how we choose to live them. They guide us not just because we hold them as beliefs, but because of the way that we hold them. It matters how we believe, and how we believe brings us together. How we believe carries us, even through hardship, even through loss, even through challenges, even through real differences, and even through dangerous and frightening times. And this week, As in so many in recent years and months, but especially in this week, I am grateful for such a community. I'm grateful for such a faith. It matters how we believe. In our congregation, we honor the joys and sorrows of our community with the lighting of a candle. As we move into the time in our service when we share some of those joys and some of those sorrows, I invite you, wherever you are, to sing, "There is a love holding me."
There is a love holding me. There is a love holding all that I love. There is a love holding me. I rest in this love.
Good morning. My name is Pam Sears. I'm a member of the pastoral care team and the contact person for the month of January. I will read the cards of sharing this morning. The first is a card of sorrow for one whose family member passed away recently. She said that they taught her that you don't have to be related to consider someone as part of your family, and that she will never forget their wisdom, love, and kindness to her. Next is a card of joy for a member whose grandmother seems to be feeling better after having been diagnosed with COVID. Thank you to anyone who sent their thoughts and prayers. And as always, a candle has been lit for those joys, sorrows, and concerns that remain unspoken.
Please sing, "There is a love holding us."
There is a love holding us. There is a love holding all that we love. There is a love holding us. We rest in this love.
We begin our time of meditation and prayer in a few moments in the community of quietness. God of many names and no name, Spirit of love, holy unknown, This week we have wept in agony following the attack on the United States Capitol, on the principle of democracy, on the government of this nation. We mourn the death of Officer Brian Sicknick and all who were killed in the senseless violence of that day. We pray and we hold in compassion their families, as well as all those who were injured or infected in the name of falsehood. May those who fomented and committed these acts be brought to justice, and may they also come to understanding. May their hearts be opened. It is time to reject demagoguery, to reject lies and opportunism, and it is long past time to reject white supremacy. It is time to embrace compassion, to embrace truth, to embrace the transforming power of love. As we face the division plaguing our nation, may we hold our beliefs with the integrity of an open mind and the wisdom of compassion. May we remember that if we speak in the tongues of mortals and angels, if we have faith to move mountains, but do not have love, we are as a noisy gong or a clashing cymbal. The greatest of all is love. May it ever be so. Amen, and blessed be. Please sing, Though I May Speak with Bravest Fire.
Though I may speak with bravest fire and have the gift to all inspire, and have not love, my words are vain as sounding brass and hopeless gain. Though I may give all I possess, and striving so my love profess, but not be given by love within, the prophet soon turns strangely thin. Come, Spirit, come, our hearts control, our spirits long to be made whole. Let inward love guide every deed. By this we worship and are freed.
We close with words from 1 Corinthians. Faith, hope, and love abide, these three, and the greatest of these is love. Go in peace.